Greetings and salutations, Geo nerds! So what are these awesome guy in high vis drilling holes in Queensland in 50 degrees C got to do with? This can be seen from space, largest in the southern hemisphere solar farm in South Australia, and this intriguing ore from Queensland that's going to change the world. Stick around, we'll find out together. So folks, we're talking about vanadium, a beautiful bluish grey metal, warm to touch because it's a thermal insulator, but it's a very good electrical conductor. Here it is on the old periodic table. I promise I won't leave it up too long. There it is, element 23, vanadium, transitional metal, and here's everything you ever wanted to know about the element. I like the melting point though, that's pretty hot, it's pretty good. So this is the ore of vanadium. This is magnetite, comes in magnetite as an impurity in the magnetite. And that's not how we get it in Queensland though. This is how we get it here. It's in oil shale, as an impurity in the oil shale. So let's see where it came from. Let's, of course, start at the very beginning.
A very good place to start.
Well, vanadium was originally discovered by this bloke. And his name is Andre Manuel del Rio. He found it in 1801. In Mexico from some brownish grey ore they had there, and he called it vanadite. However, it was rediscovered by this fellow. He's a Swedish guy, and I'm not even going to try and say his name. Yeah, I'll give it a go. Niels Gabriel Selfstrom, I think, in 1831, and he finally named it vanadium. And they never found any uses for it, but there has been a lot found. So vanadium's got several uses. Its main use in the world is an additive to steel. 0.18% vanadium in carbon steel makes it much stronger. It could be used in tools, it could be used in surgical equipment, it can be used to make chassis lighter on vehicles so they're more fuel efficient. It's also used to make, these billion-dollar shit boxes. But in the end, actually I love these aircraft, don't get me wrong. It's also used as a catalyst in chemistry. So this is an aluminum-vanadium catalyst you see here. Looks like dog food. I assure you it is not. But that's not what we're interested in. It is used in electrochemistry in flow batteries for grid-level storage. Well, you can actually have one in your home. You certainly can't have one in your car. So we're going to look into this a little more in a bit, but know it, this is where we're going with this today. Anyway, let's have a look at how we get this stuff. So pure vanadium ore doesn't really occur in the world. It's always as an impurity in other ores. This is a big lump of magnetite. All that black sand we get with our gold probably got vanadium in it. Here's another magnetite nodule, contains vanadium. We do get these in Queensland. How do you find them? Well, you got to drill holes. Here's the boys in the high vis out in 50 degrees C drilling holes. This is an RC rig. My son used to work on one of these. I think this is not an RC rig, but it's still drilling holes, and this is actually up near Julia Creek. They're looking for it. Now, the vanadium reserves in Australia are not that spread out. I mean, West Australia's got us down by nails, but this new deposit up near Richmond and Julia Creek, which is what we're going to talk about today, is huge. Vanadium is going to change the world. Well, folks, here we are up above. And we're going to head, we got to get moving because we got to go to Richmond and Julia Creek, way up in central North Queensland. We've been here before. We looked at some gold, but we're going to go up here today because we're going to look at some vanadium. Well, can't see much. I don't want to put a spoiler on it for you. So we're just cruising in now downtown Richmond. There it is, beautiful little town out in the grass sea west of Hughenden. And we pull up now, and pretty much everything you're seeing down below you right now is that vanadium deposit. It's in oil shale. And the oil shale runs under there. It's more concentrated in some areas, but it's all oil shale underneath that deposit. We're just going to zoom down. Here's the little town of Julia Creek. Beautiful little place. Been there. Been to both these towns. Going to pull back into space now so you get an idea of where this is. It's, out there. There's old Queensland. Anyway, let's have a look at some more details. Well, folks, what we're looking at here is the extent of this deposit. Vanadium is discovered here. It's basically in a stratigraphic formation called the Tulibeck Formation. And it's a Cretaceous formation, just like everything up here in the Eromanga Basin. Here's the extent of it. As they have, well, these are the leases they've got. It's bigger than this. If it's there, it's everywhere. And this is 500 megatons of vanadium. Megatons. This is a huge thing. Let's have a quick look. This is a magnetic dipole map with the thing over the top. You can see it doesn't really follow anything in the magnetic dipole. However, if you do it on LiDAR, it follows that low ridge line right the way through the countryside. Something interesting you'll see in a minute. There's some impurities in this, and this is a radiometric map of the isotopes, and one of the impurities is uranium, and blue is uranium. You can see here, obviously. Here's the beautiful town of Richmond, or the Servo anyway. Servo's a big part of the town up there. It's a gorgeous little place, it really is. But it is really flat. I said my son worked up here for a while, and this is not a hilly place at all. But what this shale is, of course, is oil shale. You get crude oil out of this, and there's billions of barrels of crude oil up here. Here's Australia's crude oil reserve. The Eromanga Basin, which is up there where Julia Creek is definitely a thing. It looks like this, just looks like normal shale, but when you heat it up, it'll catch fire and it keeps burning. Now, when they pull the vanadium out, they pull it out as vanadium pentoxide, and it looks like this. It's called pentoxide flake. And the vanadium up here's got a few problems. It's got some nasty impurities in it, like titanium, vanadium, of course. It's also got nasty impurities like uranium, and of course, silver, gold, platinum, and palladium. So, yeah, it's a bad problem to have, eh? So, here's the price, by the way. This is US dollars per pound. This stuff is $9 a pound. It's amazing. It's a lot of money. So, folks, with vanadium, you're talking about a vanadium redox flow battery. And this was pioneered back in the 80s. It's not new technology, although it's being made much more efficient and much cheaper. Here's one of the early cells. This is one of NASA's attempts at it back in the 1970s. The team that pioneered this were from Sydney University, and here they are back in the I think this is the early 80s. Certainly looks like it with the haircuts, but anyway. Now, not all these flow batteries run on vanadium. An Australian company, which called Redflow, they actually use a zinc bromide flow battery. Here they are here, great company based in South Australia. What is it with South Australia? Simon Hackett's part of the Brains Trust for this. He's the bloke that bought us Internode in Australia. Great glider pilot. Guy I met about 30 years ago. Really nice guy. And these things are really powering out well. They actually don't use vanadium, but everyone else does. Lots of guys in Australia. VSun build vanadiums. Sumitomo here building vanadium stuff. And in China, this stuff is epic. All these white containers on the roof of this building are vanadium flow batteries, redox flow batteries. The electrolyte tanks aren't there because here's the electrolyte tanks for them. This thing is megawatts of storage, just megawatts. Why do they have this? Well, of course, because we're building these. This one's in South Australia. This is the Bungala farm. It's just fantastic. It's an enormous, currently the largest in the Southern Hemisphere. That won't be long. There's one up at Warwick going to be bigger than that real soon. The Bungala. I can never say that stupid word. But if you're going to have stuff like this, and they're fantastic, I'm not knocking them in any way, by the way, you've got to have storage. There's just, you just do. Australia does not cover the entire Earth, so we cannot be in the sunshine all the time. So we need storage. Why does South Australia keep doing it right? Well, it's easy. Why do they have stovey poles? There's no timber. Why do they have alternative energy? Wind, whatever. There's no bloody coal down there. If these poor buggers want to generate, if they got to use gas, oil, because there is no coal, they'd have to ship it all in on a train. Believe me, there's a lot of gas and a lot of petroleum in South Australia, there really is. So anyway, that's vanadium. It's going to change the world. It's in everything you've got now, your steel and all your good knives and forks and your good kitchen knives, it's already there. Queensland's got absolute crap loads of it. This is the Australian company Redflow. Yes, I am a fan. No, they're not a sponsor. I'll be watching these guys. They make a thing called a Z cell, that little thing you saw earlier on in this video, and this thing's about the size of a big esky, you know, chili bean for you Kiwi guys. And it is just astounding technology. It really is. Can't quite buy them at Bunnings yet, but it's not too far away. Anyway, Geo Nerds, this has got a bit longer than I thought it was going to be, but it's so exciting. I love when this mineral's coming. There's going to be billions of dollars worth of this stuff coming out of Queensland. Disappointingly, we're going to refine it to a point, stick it on a ship, send it to who knows where, probably China, and they're going to add a lot of value to it. But hey, that's what happens in Australia. Anyway, until then, keep rocking. T-Rock's out.